In February 2014, Satya Nadella, a to this point relatively unknown Indian-born engineer, became the new CEO of Microsoft, following Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. Since then, the company's value on the capital market grew by an exorbitant $2 trillion. That's more than the value growth of Nvidia, Netflix and Tesla in the same period combined. Hi, my name is Felix and this video is about how one man and a book changed the culture of one of the largest and most powerful companies in the world. Satya Nadella has transformed Microsoft like no person before him has ever turned a company around. He did this because he established a different understanding of culture, a unique way of leadership, and a new mission for the software giant. So let's take a deeper look. Part 1. Satya Nadella's understanding of culture. Nadella was for a long time just an engineer and later a manager like many others at Microsoft. When he started his career at the Redmond-based tech giant in 1992, he probably never dreamed he would become CEO of the company. But he earned his spurs at Microsoft by turning the Bing search engine profitable and developing Microsoft's cloud business into a real competitor for Amazon Web Services. Still, many were surprised that he, of all people, would become the next CEO. For the past 15 years before his appointment, Microsoft had almost missed every next big thing. Google dominated the search business, Amazon dominated online shopping, and Apple and Google's Android dominated the smartphone market, while Microsoft still had to digest the consequences of the frustrating Nokia acquisition. Most managers probably would have jumped to clean up the whole mess immediately. But when Nadella took over in 2014, it was clear to him that the most important and urgent task would be to rediscover the soul of Microsoft and change its culture. The culture at Microsoft was about working hard and not making any mistakes. Spontaneity and creativity suffered as a result. It was also a culture of competition and silo thinking. And Microsoft executives defended their divisions like warlords. Hence, hardly anyone believed that Nadella had a chance to change the culture and bring Microsoft back on track. One day, his wife gave him the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. She gave it to him not because of his job at Microsoft, but because one of their daughters had a learning difference. In the book Mindset, Dweck distinguished between people with a fixed mindset and people with a growth mindset. Growth mindset describes the belief that no matter if you are good or bad at something, you can always improve. It means that you see challenges as opportunities and you think about failure as a chance to learn. Fixed mindset, on the other hand, describes the belief that you are either good or bad at something, that you prefer to avoid challenges and critical feedback, and that failure shows you the limits of your abilities. In sports, for example, it seems that mindset is the key criteria that separates a great talent from a true champion. Culture is such a similar, abstract but important issue. Satya Nadella refers to an organization's culture as the sum of its mindsets. Therefore, he used the book Mindset as a blueprint for Microsoft's new culture. What he has established at Microsoft is a growth mindset culture because he believes that if each individual employee at Microsoft grows in their role and personality, then Microsoft as a whole grows as a company. But how has Nadella enabled this change in culture? Part 2. Satya Nadella's approach to leadership. Many people think that to be a good leader, you have to be charismatic, confident, and dominant. These are the qualities we immediately associate with great leaders. But to promote change, it is important to activate the willingness to change in everyone. It must come from within and cannot be dictated from outside. Nadella's approach is therefore also quite different. It is based on a leadership quality that is underdeveloped among many managers, namely listening. He had already made use of this principle in 2011 when he became head of the cloud business, which was then still called Storage Server and Tool Business. At the time, the majority of Microsoft executives still believed in the future of on-premise software and were unconvinced by this new thing called the cloud.
What cloud? What cloud?
Moreover, most felt that the job Nadella got was theirs. But Nadella did something unusual. He met with every single executive from the server business, sometimes several times, asked questions, and above all, just listened. When he later became CEO of Microsoft, he did the same thing. He had conversations with hundreds of Microsoft executives around the world and listened to their needs, desires, and visions and encouraged them to change. He helped them rediscover their own motivation and connect it to Microsoft's mission. For Nadella, leadership means trying to bring everyone along, but also getting rid of those who don't buy into the new mission. But what was Microsoft's new mission? Part 3. A new mission. Bill Gates' original vision in the late 1970s was inspiring. It was a computer on every desk and in every home. And although it sounded like a far-off vision at the time, it was a goal that was more or less achieved 30 years later. After Gates, Steve Ballmer took the helm. Under him, Microsoft was all about preserving the old and expanding market share. Here's an excerpt of a leaked email to Microsoft employees from 2008 written by Ballmer. Therefore, my priorities are consistent with last year. In 2009, we must continue to invest in the right opportunities, expand our presence with Windows, Office and developers, drive end-user excitement for our products, embrace software plus services, and focus on employee excellence. Okay, that's all well and good, but where's the higher sense? Where's the courage to try new things? Where's the inspiration? Where is the soul? Honestly, it all sounds like he asked Angela Merkel to help him to write this email. Nadella's first task was therefore to rediscover the soul of Microsoft. What are our timeless values? What is our mission? Why are we here? After talking to hundreds of Microsoft employees, a new mission crystallized. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. He worked with his executive management team and summarized Microsoft's mission and values on one page. And it didn't turn into 100 PowerPoint slides. For Microsoft, this was new territory. For a long time, Microsoft's motivation was based on the principle of slaying the dragon. It can be truly motivating for some people to have a boogeyman. Microsoft used Apple and Linux as a concept of enemy for decades. Conversely, Apple cultivated IBM and of course Microsoft as a boogeyman for a long time to motivate its employees.
The only problem with Microsoft is they just have no taste.
But the new mission of Microsoft did not allow this thinking anymore. It is based on the principle kissing the princess. In the new mission of Microsoft, the customer is the focal point. It is the goal to create something new instead of fighting for old markets. It's about doing everything to make the customer happy. That's why in March 2014, just 2 months after Satya Nadella took office, Microsoft declared that it would make Office apps available for Android devices as well as Apple's iPhone and iPad. And today, Microsoft is even cooperating with its long-time competitor Linux. If the customer value is there and it fits Microsoft's mission, then old dogmas no longer matter for Microsoft under Nadella's leadership. Part 4. The old culture and the new culture of Microsoft. Satya Nadella had understood what changes Microsoft needed to become relevant again. In short, this was Microsoft's old culture. Always be the smartest person in the room. Be better than the competition. Everyone against everyone. And growth is achieved if revenues and market shares are growing. The culture under Nadella, on the other hand, is listen and dare to be the dumbest person in the room. Serve users and help them to change the world, even if that means collaborating with competitors. One Microsoft connected by one mission and a focus on customer love. And this new culture allowed Microsoft to innovate again. Satya Nadella has completely turned Microsoft around in less than 10 years. Leave me a comment if you think Microsoft will also pass Apple in the near future to become the biggest technology company again. Or if you think another technology company will soon pass Microsoft. If you want to learn more about the psychology of innovation, subscribe to my channel. And if you watched until here, please support me with a few clicks on the right buttons. It means a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.